into yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here at Quaker Steak and Lube in State College on a very wintry-like spring day.
Schizophrenic is the only way I can describe the weather.
It has been a little on the brutal side, I would say, as of late.
The snow squalls yesterday that was a nice added touch to it, don't you think?
Yeah, some a
video.
Awful accidents throughout the state with the result of those snow squalls, and seemed like a little overkill at the time to me with all of the alerts going out and my phone. We're trying to have a meeting, and it's like every 5 minutes the phone's going haywire. It's like, okay, it's squalls. Like you'll see them and you'll get off the road if you need to. But apparently people didn't. And very sad situation.
I have a question. I mean, you're somewhat in the delivery business.
Yep.
I don't know if you would have the answer to me, but somebody said that truckers rarely even use CBs anymore. So they said that might be one of the reasons why these guys don't know what's coming ahead. If there's a CB on there, there's guys in there yapping, screaming.
Yeah,
I had never heard that the CB is done with truckers and all that stuff. But oh well, yeah, it was horrible watching that yesterday.
So we get ready for baseball season. Clearly, the Pirates are getting geared up for a World Series run.
Shape right now, Ironhead.
Dominating the Red Sox today in the all-important Tuesday afternoon spring training game. This is where a lot of the other days, like the players are just kind of casually getting into it, but I think everybody knows that the Tuesday afternoon spring training games are probably the closest thing to a postseason feel.
A Game 7
that you're going to have outside of like early September baseball, right? It's just that type of feel, and you can see it coming, folks. The World Series is around the corner, just crushing the Red Sox in a 6-0 beatdown. So the Berg is getting fired up.
Rumor is that the Pirates used a split squad split. So they went double split today. They only have 4 regular starters out there, and they're just dominating out there. Just dominating in that quadruple A baseball league.
Yeah, the other starters are all irregular starters, which is what the Pirates are going to become accustomed to.
And I know we'll get
future.
to it, but
yeah.
I mean, honest to God, Ironhead, I mean, me and Booch were talking a little bit before the show. I mean, the Phillies may not win the thing, but they're sure as hell going to be fun to watch. I mean, I'm watching a little bit of their preseason right now, and they are just roping the ball.
Listen,
there's not much pitching going on out there, but they're hitting the living. It's going to be unbelievable the amount of runs there, and then they're set up finally perfect for that the little bandbox they play in Philly.
Very similar situation in that the Pirates also might not win it all, and they're not going to be any fun to watch. But it's similar in that if you want to watch, you can, and they're not going to win it all. So.
Take it for what it's worth. Take it for what it's worth. Yeah. That should be a fun season, though. I'm glad it's back. I mean, I'm glad everything got fixed up and with the lockout and all. So, I mean, I can't imagine.
Yeah, I'm not even all that. I would have been fine with the year, but that's I will once the season starts, even as bad as I know the Pirates are going to be. I'll have the games on in the background, and it will serve as just a gentle, pleasant reminder, even with the beatdowns that are coming, that it is summertime and life is good.
I'm telling you, they're going to turn it around, Ironhead.
Yeah,
88 wins. I always say that without it laughing.
Yeah, not possible. No. Not possible to actually do that.
I got to find your total wins for you by Thursday. I'll get them to you.
Yeah, I think if they can get into the 60s, it'll be about maximizing the potential on that roster.
Speaking of baseball, do you ever go down to a spring training?
I never have. There was when we were I'm trying to think if this was my junior or senior year. There was a group of us, and a couple of them did end up going down. There's a group of us that were going to go down, and I don't remember the specifics why. I ended up pulling out from the opportunity. a few weeks before we were going down, and I forget
exactly high school
how we lined up. Penn State.
Okay.
And a few of the guys from the campus station. I think I'm remembering this right. Did go down, but yeah, I've never. And for the next couple of years out, we talked about it, and I was sports director over at RSC for a while. We were talking about when we had the Pirates at the time, and we talked about trying to go down. And yeah, but it never. I've never been.
It's awesome.
Would love.
I've been down about 5 times.
Yeah.
Really, really, really. I was in the new stadium the Phillies have. That's how. Jeez, my dad was alive. I was still living in Richmond, so that's over 15 years ago. But I took my dad to the opening day down there in the new stadium and all, and I've probably been down 3 or 4 times after that, and just I love it. I mean, it's as close as you can get. Like, you know how, like, we say, like, football players, they fly in town and they fly out. You know, you don't have much communication with fans and players.
Right.
Hockey does the best job of that, in my opinion, where they get guys involved. Like I talked about wrestling last week. They do a hell of a job with their stars and their past stars to, like, you know, to be available to fans. That reminds me, what wrestling does reminds me of like Philly spring training and Pirate spring training, and they'll bring back all their old players. Yeah. They'll have them out in left field. I mean, Philly's got a bar out there, and Torchies, I think it's called, or something like that. Torchies, something. I forget. I mean, I'm going to get my balls busted on it. All my friends will be texting me here in 10 minutes. So, but it's just, you know, I sat there one time. I was hanging out with Larry Anderson for a couple hours, with Darren Dalton, John Kruk. And then, like, you know, Ryan Howard was a young buck coming in. You know, it was just a good time. And it's a really, really, if you ever have a chance to do it, Jeffrey, I would do it. It's that much fun.
Yeah.
And, you know, if Reg gets into it, it's pretty cool because the baseball is great. And you're in Florida, you're not in the middle of the winter up here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm telling you, this March is has me longing for a trip down south.
Yeah. So one time we went, and this is when the World Baseball, remember, you know, the World Baseball, like right before the season they play.
Yeah.
Is that what they call it now, the World Baseball Classic or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, this was the first year that they started doing it, so it really hadn't garnered much attention in this and that. So I saw the Phillies play the Venezuelan national team. And when we actually rented the third box suite, so there's a plexiglass right here, and you're in there, like, I'm sitting here drinking a Bud Light, eating a hot dog, and there's the Venezuelan team, and it's all professional baseball players. And I mean, they were all of them they won it. I mean, they were just studs. And I just remember sitting there, I was like, this is so cool, having the ability to do this.
Yeah.
You know, no other sport you can really do that. And then, you know, you're sitting there, I mean, I don't think Pujols, Megley Ordonez, and all those guys, I think they were all Venezuelan. The big cat, I think, was out there. I don't know. But it was just really, really cool. And like I said, if you ever have a chance to do it, go. And that was the second time that Mike Schmidt big-timed me in my lifetime.
Is that right?
Yeah, we're going down the story time with Goon here. We're first time the Little League banquet for the Orland Winmore Little League. You know, so they had all, like, the home run hitters and the RBI leaders and the team title and this and that. So I got a couple trophies there, a couple 2-tree. Mike Schmidt's the or Harry Callis is the actual MC. I'm Harry Callis, and here we are at Orland Winmore Little League. So Mike Schmidt is there. He's going to represent the Phillies with Harry Callis to a Little League banquet. And you know what he refused to do? Sign an effing autograph.
Is that right?
I mean, there's 75 kids there, tops. That's 75 autographs. Like, dude, come on, man. So I was 11 or 12 then, so I didn't like him after that. I could not believe he would do that. And then that exact day that we had the suite, he came walking by, his working for the Phillies or whatever, and we're all like, "Hey, Mike, can we get a picture with you?" You know, it's like 20 guys at the third baseline drinking, having a good time. And he's like, yeah, I'll be right back. And he just kept on walking. He never came back. And it was like, you are a tool. You're done.
Wow.
Yeah. I may as well throw Kurt Schilling into that mix of my most hated Phillies. So they're 1-1A right there, buddy.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah, there we go.
Michael Jack Schmidt.
What a tool.
Not
I mean, an unbelievable baseball player. There's no doubt about it. He's the best players I've ever seen in a Phillies uniform. There's no doubt. I could not deny that. But what? Not a big fan whatsoever.
Yeah, that's disappointing.
Very, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm sure there's worse guys out there.
Oh, I'm sure of that. And a lot of better guys.
Yeah, well, actually, we're talking about this and Philadelphia athletes who people hated, and Charles Barkley was not loved in Philadelphia because my theory is because he wasn't Dr. J. You know what I mean? He was a whole different personality than Dr. J, and I think that he's grown up a whole bunch, and even nowadays, he's beloved in Philadelphia right now. So there's a guy who's going the complete opposite way. Interesting.
I always liked Barkley.
But he did stuff in Philadelphia to people, and it was like he was fighting and doing stupid stuff and saying stupid stuff. And remember the whole "I'm not a role model," that commercial line.
Yeah,
I remember sitting there saying, "You know what, you are," And then, but as I got older and I started realizing what the hell he was talking about, and that was, "I'm not your role model. Your mom and dad should be your role models. Your coaches should be your role model. You shouldn't look up to me. You want to be like me, that's fine.
Come out and be entertained by me."
But, yeah. And I didn't understand it at the time, but I did as I got older. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting when Sid Bream was up here with the spikes, because it's just one of those things. I mean, he absolutely crushed me, but I mean, it wasn't like. I mean, you can't be mad at the guy for going out and playing baseball. It wasn't like he did anything wrong. It just was devastating. And but he is just a tremendously likable individual and really fun to talk to about baseball and anything else. But I mean, he has some great stories. Oh, it was absolutely devastating. Yeah, I can't.
For a guy who played in Pittsburgh for so long and was beloved.
Yeah.
And completely rip your hearts out like that. It's sad.
Completely.
But Van Slyke told Bonds to move in, no?
Yep.
Did he not?
Yep.
Move in. Oh, well. All right, hot button issue, Ironhead. I need your opinion.
Yeah. Does
our boy Cale? Does he get a 10-year deal or a never-ending deal from Penn State like people are calling for right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no one more in the world who deserves it.
I think this is going to be I am really, really interested to see what direction Penn State goes and who the new hire as athletic director is. I suspect Sandy Barber would very much like to have a long-term contract for Cale be one of her lasting legacies. I suspect that is not going to happen. I think Cale wants to, and listen, I could be wrong on this. I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I think he wants to see what direction the athletic department is headed and what type of commitments are made before he agrees to any kind of a long-term deal. And listen, I've been reading, and it's obviously flattering and I think well-deserved attention for Cale and the staff with the accomplishments. But there's been a few columns with statecollege.com and the Collegian, among others, calling for Penn State to get Cale a long-term deal and lock him up. And again, from Penn State's standpoint, it certainly makes sense, and I think with the big-time money boosters that are surrounding the wrestling program, there's certainly the distinct possibility to get it to unprecedented territory in terms of the salary. But I will say, I really do think for Cale, it is much more about the investment in the program and the kids, and I don't mean the direct the NLI stuff. I'm talking about making sure that the resources to make this a big time program moving forward are definitively there. I do, and the NLI stuff, by the way, I shouldn't short shrift it. I mean, I do think that is part of the equation here, and I think when I'm talking about the direction that Penn State's moving, that's kind of some of the stuff I'm talking about. Is how proactive is whoever the new athletic director is going to be in trying to move the programs, plural, forward. Because I will tell you, the other thing about Cal, obviously his first concern far and away is the wrestling program, and obviously that's where his focus rightfully is. But I think he knows and understands the benefit of having a successful athletic department as a whole. And I think, again, the wrestling program at Penn State needs to be part of that. But I think there are some things that the wrestling program is getting very close to being at least a break-even sport. And I think the potential is there. And I know Cal believes the potential is there for it to be a revenue-producing sport. But again, there are some things that you need some support from the administration to figure some things out. In terms of how to be creative in creating opportunities. And again, I'm not just talking for the wrestling program. That stuff, but also I think there are some things with ticket prices, with additional opportunities for fans to be involved with the program, to put on other events, to have former wrestlers come back either with MMA stuff and have it be wrestling related, camp stuff. There's some, and there are things above and beyond that. I mean, again, I think it takes some proactive thinking and some out of the box thinking. And there's probably things that I'm not thinking of, and as proactive and as remarkably forward-thinking as I think Cal is. I'm sure there are some things that could be done that he hasn't thought of either. But I think getting some creative minds together and say, hey, and listen, there will be ideas out there that people will shoot down, and rightfully so. But throw open the doors. Hey, what about, doing a match in Beaver Stadium, getting a gate of whatever it would be, 40, 50,000. And again, there's a lot of things that go into that, right? On the logistics front. If it's a bad weather, you got to be able to move the fans that you can into either probably the Jordan Center, right? But you're not going to get the crowd that you would. And but you have to have that contingency plan. I mean, you can't just have a dual meet. Oh, we'll just reschedule it for the next week. You can't. Teams don't come in for multiple. So there's. So I mean that's just an example, but there are a ton of things that, again, I think you can look at to try to turn the corner and make wrestling a revenue producing sport. And I think
that's good news. I didn't know they were that close.
Same thing across the athletic department. Again, trying to be proactive in thinking of different ways to market sports and the NLI is going to be part of it. Are there some different things we can do to collaborate? Yep. We being Penn State, when I'm talking about from the administrative perspective, are there some things we can do to be proactive with the student athletes that gets our name out there, our brand, and gets our product? And again, I'm spitballing. I have no idea, but if we do an event where the again, I'm making stuff up right now. So, but let's we'll give each of the kids $200 if they agree to come out and sign autographs for a couple of hours. We'll rotate people through. We give buffet dinner or whatever. You get to meet and greet, whatever it might be. I think just getting some forward thinking and kind of focused on the student athlete experience and making it all it can be, and worrying less about some of the some of the stuff that isn't that's more societally focused, and get back to, hey, let's educate our student athletes. Let's get them as involved as we can, and make this as good of an experience for them. And again, so my guess is that there will be a discussion before anything is agreed to. And some sort of assurance about the direction that the athletic department is heading. And that's why, again, I wouldn't be shocked necessarily if Cale agrees to a contract before Sandy leaves, but I would suspect that it may not happen until after she departs.
My question, right off the first question I have, is it a facilities issue? Or where are our facilities at, as in
our facilities
comparable?
I think they're pretty good. I mean, like everything. I mean, I think the football facilities are pretty good.
Yeah,
so
they were pretty good. We got to update them.
Yeah, so it's all perspective. I mean, I think I don't know necessarily the wrestling room. I mean, there may be some things there that Cale would like to see done to enhance that. I'm not aware of anything there. And again, I haven't specifically asked, or we haven't talked about that aspect in particular. I do think, right, just from the fans' experience, Rec Hall, it's a really cool gym, and it is really outdated.
Sure.
They have got to improve I think they need to improve the seating. First and foremost, though, at the very least, get some decent food in there so that fans can buy. The amount of revenue that I think Penn State is leaving on the table by only having popcorn and overcooked hot dogs, and I mean, get some decent food in there and some options for folks, and improve the restroom facilities. I mean, I think those two things alone would make it a much better fan experience. And grow the revenue opportunities there for the university and for the wrestling program.
I thought Cale loves wrestling at Rec.
Oh, absolutely does.
But those improvements need to be done for fan base. I mean, aren't the tickets like $6 or $7 anyway?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure what they are right now.
Paid for
I think
it in
they're
years,
6 or 7. But yeah,
say $10, but charge $20, double the amount of revenue there. You said it, you hit the nail on the head when you said there's no forward thinking at Penn State. It's too easy to say, well, it's COVID. And that seems to be the issue right now. For 2 years now, they could use the excuse of COVID. Now everybody else in the country is ahead of us. Like we had predicted that we're going to be so far behind when it comes to the NIL. And I did see that I sent you an email today, Booch, about, Penn State has partnered with a company with NIL aspirations. And so that's now the third one that we have in town here now. I mean, can our infrastructure handle that many different type of things, or just make them all into one and just go the right way with it? Who the hell knows this whole thing? But I'm give the man what he wants. But I mean, I understand. People are going to say, "Well, James Franklin makes $70 million." The football program brings $100 million in. They make $100 million. They spend 50, and 50 goes back. So Cale knows that. I mean, he's not stupid. I mean, he understands that the business side of it.
For sure.
But the fact that what he is doing right now, and he is not being catered to, like, okay, if he says, I want a new locker room, they should be knocking buildings down somewhere and building a wrestling room, in my opinion. That's just me on the outside. I know nothing of any kind of inside. I've met the man one time. He scared the living crap out of me 15 years ago. Or 10 years ago, excuse me. I thought he was going to eat me. Or he wanted to take my knee out. I know that. No, but I'm just saying, I mean, the guy, he's in like an unprecedented world. I mean, he's in like the conversation right now with John Wooden, Nick Saban, Mike Krzyzewski. I mean, he's there. It's crazy to think about, but it's true.
Yeah.
Not crazy to think about, it's true. And it's not crazy because it is happening. We're watching it happen. And the fact that our university, again, you say it's not forward thinking, the fact that they don't realize that, like, we're in the hotbed of wrestling, this area. Say the Joe Paterno 5-hour window. That's the hotbed of wrestling right now. I don't care what Iowa says and this and that and Oklahoma State, but I don't think our people even realize that, like, what some other schools would do and give to have Cale Sanderson coach their team. I mean, completely just pay him like a football coach, probably. Give him everything he wants facility-wise, and then it would pay off for them. It's like he's that good, and I hope that it would never come to the point where he's that frustrated that he would leave, and I hope it would never come to that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things in play that need to be hashed out, and I just don't know with Sandy Barber, retiring. I just don't know that she's in a position to be able to give the assurances that I think Cale would need to get a contract through. Again, no fault of hers at the moment. I just think again the circumstances. I would suspect that he wants to just get an idea of, okay, this is these are the priorities. This is what we're looking at moving forward. This is what we can do for you. And again, I don't think there's, it's not like there's a long list of demands here that Cale has to. We're not exactly talking about a diva coach. We're talking about a guy who absolutely believes in, busting his tail, being humble, being very grateful for what you have. So, we're not talking about a guy that, you either build us a brand new great wrestling room and a new facility and raise my salary by a couple $100,000 or I'm out. I mean, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a guy that wants to make sure from a competitive standpoint with the NLI stuff and with the facilities, the Penn State is, at least on even footing when you look at some of the other big time programs that are out there, the Iowas and the Oklahoma States and,
Ohio State, Michigan.
Well, yeah, for sure in the Big Ten, and then again, what is the focus going to be moving forward in terms of the priorities within the athletic department? And I don't mean priorities between sports. I mean priorities of, all right, is the facilities improvement something we're focusing on? Is making more food, better food available for the whatever it may be. But let's figure out. All right, these are the priorities. This is what we're looking at moving forward. And again, ultimately, how do you best serve the student athletes and give them the opportunity to succeed both in their chosen sport and in the classroom, and to grow as a person while they're here at Penn State.
What's disappointing, though, in this whole situation is I remember Sandy Barber was hired. She was a field hockey player, Wake Forest, I believe, or somewhere. She's from the Annapolis region.
Yeah.
So her thing was, everybody said, she is going to jack up the Olympic sports and the women's sports. And they really haven't. It's gone quite, the women's sports have actually gone downhill, in my opinion. And the only, real sport that's, you could say men's lacrosse, but that was going to happen anyway. I mean, that was just a something waiting to happen. But wrestling, if the fact that, if she was she comes from an Olympic sport background, you'd think that would be one of her big things would be to do that and to jack those programs up. But and it ended up being just football, basketball, women's basketball, the typical ho-hum,
Although I think you can make a strong argument that in order to prop up the Olympic sports, you have to have a good, viable football program and a good, viable basketball program. And at Penn State, certainly football first and foremost, because if that football program isn't generating money, and we can argue about the success or lack thereof the last couple of years on the field, but the TV revenues and the gate revenue is there for football, and without that, again, you're not having some of these Olympic sports, let alone being competitive on the national stage. They're just not existing. So that your priority as athletic director has to be now. The argument can be made either way on the 10-year deal with Franklin, but if you as athletic director feel good about James Franklin and the overall direction, and after meeting with them, are confident that this thing is going to turn around with in terms of wins and losses from the last couple of years. Then again, I think it's a good investment. He's obviously an engaging personality. He's done a terrific job recruiting, and Penn State is very much in the national conversation. When 10 years ago, many thought there was not a chance until right around this time that Penn State might start to creep back into the national conversation. So, that, and then, regardless of what you and I and anybody else thinks about how everything was handled with Pat Chambers, that there is little doubt that Micah Shrewsbury was a really good hire and has that program very much on the right track. Now, we'll see what happens. The proof is in the pudding over the next couple of years. But I do think Penn State, I think the administration and Sandy Barber, and I think the majority of the fan base feels pretty good right now about the future prospect for Penn State football and Penn State basketball.
I'm just going to say.
Maybe to varying degrees, but I think the majority of the fan base and certainly the administration feels like, hey, listen, the two revenue-generating sports right now are in a good spot. Hockey is in a good spot moving forward. And then we have, and not just wrestling. I think, the women's volleyball program has some work to do to get back to, where it wants to be. But I think that program is, a recruiting class or two away from being right there.
Correct.
Women's soccer program is in a great spot. I think the men's soccer program is in a great spot right now, and obviously both lacrosse teams. So, I think you have a number of sports that are in good position. Can baseball and softball?
Softball's undefeated.
Can they get to that next step and be, at least contenders in the conference on a regular basis? And then again, you kind of take what you can get, I think, with the other sports. And again, you'd love to be successful, wildly successful in everything. But I think those are kind of the areas of focus. And I think they're, I think those are by and large in a good position. The thing that I am, one of the things that I am interested in seeing what happens with the new athletic director, and I know it's a university policy, but I'm wondering if between the board of trustees and new athletic director and conversations with the new president, if the parking situation for the athletic events might change a bit, because I do think it is a significant deterrence at the moment. Along with that, the ticket policy, the electronic tickets, and I know I get that it's not a Penn State thing. This is everywhere in the country is doing this, but Penn State does have a large number of rural fans and a large number of elderly fans. And those two groups are especially struggling with the tickets over the phone and through the email. And I just think there needs to be at least a hard look at how that situation can at least be helped. And again, I get that the future, that is the future. But is there a way that we can make it a little more appeasing for the fans that would like to go, but don't want to spend the $10 to go to a field hockey game, and spend $10 to park and then walk a half mile to still get to the venue?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's one thing, the $10 if you're parking right in a garage right next to the venue. Again, different people are going to have different perspectives on it, but you're spending $10 and then walking a fairly good distance to get to the venue. And then, again, for many people, then you're trying to figure out, how can I get the doggone ticket to work? I think there are some things that you need to at least examine and discuss. And maybe at the end of the day, you say, hey, that's the way it is. we need the university needs the $10 from the parking, and if the attendance drops by 20%, so be it. And I'm making up the numbers. Maybe the attendance drops 1%. I have no idea. I haven't seen the numbers, but maybe again you sit down and you analyze everything and you stay with the course. But I think at least sitting down and talking with the coaches, talking with some of the fans, and trying to kind of figure out, okay, is there a way we can enhance the fan experience and again enhance and make the student athlete experience better? To me, those need to be the two areas of focus for the athletic department moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I sit here and I'm guilty of it more than anybody, and I complain about the contract that Franklin got and this and that, but it really isn't that crazy, because most of the money that they actually had given up was for assistant coaches and facility upgrades and that type of stuff, which is needed. I mean, you want to have a top tier program, you're going to need to pay top tier guys. I mean, it's the days of just paying the head coach a lot of the money and then everybody else working for $100,000. Those days are over, man.
Yeah.
Well over. So I mean, again, I'm the biggest guilty of it most. Complaining about the contract that Franklin got only being 11-11 in the last 2 years, but it really wasn't that much. I mean, there is the buyout in the end, and so there is a 3-year end all if it doesn't work out, which is what he would have had in the regular contract. But if the assistant coaches are making more money and the facilities are being upgraded, then it was a win-win. And I think that maybe Sandy's working her way down, get the football team straight. You got basketball getting straight, then it goes to that. Then then you go to, does it go to Kale, hopefully, as to take care of these guys next, but who knows where it's going to go. When you're right, we don't know, what route the school university is going to go with the new athletic director, because that's a huge decision. I mean,
well, it is, and again, we don't know how that's going to play out, and I mean, nobody knows, I think, with any certainty right now what that's going to look like. And again, there's going to be a lot of conversations about how to move this thing forward. And listen, it is a really challenging time for college athletics, right? I mean, so that whoever gets this job has a huge challenge because you have a really big athletic department with a lot of different programs, a lot of different interests. And again, I think you have a lot of things that you need to have lengthy conversations about. The facilities master plan, I'm still perplexed. And listen, I'm not privy. This isn't even necessarily a criticism, but I would have thought, given the stature of the sports that play at Rec Hall and the need for improvements there, I was stunned, to be honest with you, when the master plan came out for the improvements, and Rec Hall wasn't. I thought Rec Hall would be number
first
one on the list, and then let's get to these other things. And Rec Hall not only was not mentioned, not on the list, and I know at one point there was, because I saw the plan. There was a plan pre-COVID, and again, I don't know where the plan was. It was just somebody threw it together and, hey, what do you think about this? But I mean, they at least had gotten to the point of working out the logistics to have the plan, and it was basically knocking Rec Hall back a little closer to the Nittany line and putting in some luxury suites or seating up on that side of the track, putting in more comfortable seats and kind of making it more of a bowl type of thing down below. And then again, upgrading pretty substantially the concessions and the bathrooms. Now that plan has maybe been thrown in the trash, maybe wouldn't be workable now. I don't know, but I think there are some things that, from my perspective, and I don't have anywhere near the details that Sandy Barber or anybody else in the administration has, but from the outside looking in, it looks like to me there are some things that need to be a priority that haven't been moving forward to really get, again, the fans and prospective students, student athletes feeling good about the overall situation. And it's not that I think, the ship is in horrible condition. I don't think it's about to sink or anything, but I think there are some things that the Penn State can do to pivot to kind of get ahead of the curve and put themselves in good position to compete in what is a whole different world right now. And again, I think we're still trying to sort through and figure out what this world is going to look like and where the priorities are going to need to be for athletic departments to be competitive on the national stage. And again, the transfer portal and the NLI stuff has just completely changed the equation. And I was reading something from Iowa, Cody Goodwin out there talking about the transfer portal and the impact on this year's NCAA tournament and moving forward. And again, it's not just wrestling. Every sport, if you are not paying attention as a coach to the transfer portal, both your kids and the potential incoming kids from other programs to yours, if you are not on top of that and figuring out who would be a good fit and helping guys that you think would be better off at another program, i.e. open up some scholarship money for your program, and help those kids and talk through, kids that you want to keep that are looking elsewhere. Again, it's just a different equation now, but you need to be on top of that. And you better get the transfers that are out there that can make a difference. And prevent as much as you can the impact transfers from leaving your program, or again, you're going to be left behind. I mean, it's just the way it is, and it is. For years we've talked about the lifeblood of every program being recruiting, and now the lifeblood is recruiting / transfer portal, right? Because
Booch said it 3 months ago.
It's not one or the other. It's that you need to be on top of both, and you better perform well in both. And it's kind of like the professional sports, and it's every year you got to draft well, but you better make some free agent signings or trades that get you better than you were, even if you're at the top. The Rams, if they stand pat, right? Well, you saw. I mean, the Buccaneers basically did stand pat last year. Well, that's not going to get you back there, generally speaking. So again, you just have to be on top of that. And again, to do that, you have to have support and understanding of what's at play here from the athletic department, from the administration, to help you procure the kids that you think would be a good fit and can help your program. And again, at the end of the day, and I know people, and I'm not thrilled about it, but it is a business, and you need to know that business inside and out, and know how to maximize your opportunities to be successful in the business, or others are going to surpass you and will be in better shape on the business side of things than you. And again, it's difficult once you slide to climb back up. Not impossible, obviously, and that's going to be ever changing. Different programs will ebb and flow, and that's again part of the nature of athletics. But again, I think you need an athletic department that is forward thinking and in pretty constant communication with the coaches and the student athletes about, hey, this is what we need to be successful. This is what we're looking for. And again, I'm not saying you sit there and you give the coach. I mean, there's a financial component to all of this. And I'm not saying the coaches tell you need something, you just give it to them, or the student athletes say, hey, we need this, or we want this, you give it to them. But you better have a strong sense of what it is they're looking for and figuring out ways to, as best you can, accommodate and make it so that everybody feels at least like we're doing everything we can to give your program the opportunity to have the highest level of success.
It is crazy the world we're in right now with the transfer portal. Like I said, Chris had talked about it 3-4 months ago, and that is, Penn State said their recruiting budget for football is $5 million or $20 million. I don't know, say $1 million. All right.
Yep.
What are you doing now for the NIL, not the NIL, but for the transfer portal? I mean, are you going out and really, really hammering out and recruiting the hell out of the high school kids? Or are you going out and recruiting, kids in the transfer portal? I mean, remind me, Booch, next time we're talking to somebody in the know-how, or if you can find out, it'd be great. I want to know, if you're in the transfer portal, where the hell are you eating? I mean, as an ex-player, this is what I want to know. Where are those kids eating? I mean, you already are not playing for Penn State, but are you still at school, Penn State? You haven't decided where you're going. It's crazy. Yep. You're going to eat in the dining hall, the guy who's quitting your team, and then, okay, so then say you did, and I said this a year ago. I mean, if it was us back in the day, I would be in a transfer portal every all season. I'll go visit Miami this weekend, or I want to go visit Oregon. Get me and Marco and the boys and tell them, hey, we're going to transfer out there, go out and party our asses off, and then come back and play for Penn State. But
thinking of transferring to the University of Hawaii.
Exactly. I'm a rainbow baby. So that it's crazy to me to think about. But and then you look at. We'll talk more about the NCAA on Thursday, I'm sure, but the hoops. So you have Iowa State, who had 2 wins last year. And then they go to the Sweet 16, the Final 8, and they had completely revamped their roster with the transfer portal.
Yep.
So you know how much pressure is going to be put on these guys, a.k.a. Micah Shrewsbury. Like, hey, man, there's no longer this little waiting time to get this rocking and rolling. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, this has been done now, so now you got to do it now. And that's the way our society works now. It's all about now. So Iowa State goes from 2-20 to an Elite Eight appearance in hoops. So, that's every team, every athletic department in the country is now hiring people and put that much more pressure on coaches.
Yep. And, that's the other part of the equation to me that's kind of fascinating is are there teams and programs that kind of go the Florida Marlins route where, all right, we're going to go all in, build up for a year, and then, yep, we get it. We're going to be a couple of years again of, nobodies, and we'll build it back up. And, does this change, or does it just solidify the programs that are at the top being at the top? Because, again, I can see it working either way, right? Like, I mean, Duke basketball, you presume, is still going to be Duke basketball. North Carolina, Kentucky in basketball. I don't think Alabama football is going to just drop off the face of the earth because they start losing transfer portals. But does it actually just work to strengthen those teams at the top and leaves everybody else behind, to the top players at St. Peter's? Now it's well, you saw what I could do in the NCAA tournament. Yep. Wait, I have a good chance to go play at a North Carolina or a Kansas. Yes, let me go there because now I can get on the big stage. Or does it make it easier? Hey, you know what? We have we got this guy coming here. You come in, man. We could be the team that everybody's talking about next year. Don't you want to be part of that? We can give you the full scholarship. We can give you, we got a specific donor lined up, ready to give you big NLI money, even though we're a small school. How that all plays out, I think, is just going to be interesting to see over the next
it's crazy
5 years or so.
The players are now in the position of what coaches were for the last 50 years.
For sure.
So I'm sitting there saying, the guy at St. Peter's, his name's escaping me. I mean, if he's why is he not being – I mean, he has to be being looked at some big-time college programs right now.
You would presume.
You know what I mean? So then what you just said is completely true. So those guys made a run. Those guys showed what they could do. Okay, so why doesn't Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, Kansas just reload their rosters with those guys that have already been there? And it's almost like a minor league system. And it's crazy to think about, but that's the way coaches had it for years.
Yeah.
And now we're to the point now where our athletes are amateur athletes can do that. And it's just crazy, crazy, crazy to think of. Absolutely nuts to think of. That's the world we're in, though.
It is.
And I'm reading an article today about Sandy, releases we signed with an NIL company we're going to partner. Penn State's going to partner with them. And then even you can read her comments, and it's just, they don't understand it. No one has an understanding of it, in my opinion. Nobody's controlling it. Nobody's patrolling it. Nobody's, it's the Wild West right now. And then you read an article about a high school junior getting an $8 million NIL deal, and you're like, dude, you mean it's over? I mean, me and Booch had said that for a while now. It's over. I mean, what we know is college athletics is done to us. It
is. And again, whether
good, bad, or indifferent.
Right. Or whether how that changes is going to be a matter of perspective, and different people are going to view it, I suspect, very differently. And listen, again, to me, it is much like, free agency, and, that people said at the time, you're never going to have a team like the Steelers, like that dynasty, and we haven't, right? Like that, and it's not possible. It doesn't mean that you can't have teams go on great runs, or organizations go on great runs, but you're not going to build a team, keep it together for that length of time.
All draft picks.
The way they did. And again, whether or not that's good or bad, from a fan standpoint, again, as a kid who grew up with it, yeah, I miss those days. Do I understand why the athletes fought for it? And do I understand that this is a much better situation for the athletes and gives them a much better opportunity to get there, to maximize what is, in the overall scheme of things, a very short career, maximize the earning potential? Absolutely. And I'm all for it. But yeah, as a fan, am I going to long for the days when, by and large, kids came in, stayed at the same school for 5 years. You got to see the kids
Christian
grow
Laettner,
together.
Bobby Hurley, Grant Hill. That Duke year is the one I always think about.
Yeah.
They were there 4 years. They were there 4 years, and they went to 4 straight Final Fours. You're never going to see that again.
No, and you're just not. And again, it's whether you want to long for those days, whatever. That's behind us. And again, the programs that are going to be successful are going to recognize that, not worry, not get nostalgic, not yearn for those days. It's hey, this is what it is now. We're going to go be competitive now, and we're going to figure this out to make it work for our program moving forward. And again, it's a lot of moving parts that I just think it's going to be interesting to see how it develops over the next 5 years. And
I believe.
And listen, I think there's more changes coming. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not. I don't have anything in mind. I think the whole landscape here is going to continue to shift and adjust. And rules will change here accordingly over the next few years, one way or another. And again, it's going to be the programs that are on top of it, the athletic departments that are on top of it, that are going to, at least give themselves a chance to be successful, or, in Penn State's case, overall as an athletic department, remain successful.
I just don't understand why they just went into DEFCON 5. I mean, why wouldn't they just say, hey, we'll start off giving these kids a couple $1,000s a month. They all get that. And then maybe work towards this, instead of just saying, okay, yeah, just go do that. And that's the insane part to me. I mean, we give a kid, every scholarship player, an extra $10,000 or $5,000 a month. $5,000 a month. It's $60,000 a year. You're a college kid. You can live on $600 a year sometimes. I mean, I know we did that.
Yeah, but how many athletic departments are going to be able to afford that?
That's.
I mean, even within the Power of Five, I don't know that there's. I mean, if you do that, you're eliminating college opportunities for, I don't know what the number would be, but for a significant number of student athletes.
I think we might be in a better place than we are right now, though.
And again, I think it's a legitimate argument and debate to have. And there are many that have advocated for a long time that, let's get back to college athletics being college athletics and get back to just, the Olympic sports, the non-revenue sports. Go play other Pennsylvania schools, maybe neighboring states. You don't need to be traveling a wrestling team to Iowa to compete. Let's make it reasonable. You go raise your funds, take the scholarships out of it. And again, I'm not advocating this. I'm saying this has been talked about, and there are many in the academic community that would be all for it and make football and basketball their own entities and have college athletics get back to very manageable
the Ivy
salaries,
League, right?
And in essence, yep. And
grant aid, need-based grants as well as
and again, at the end of the day, that may be where we all ultimately end up heading. I don't know. I think we're going to get a clearer picture of how this thing is going to develop over the next 5 years or so, and I could see it going a number of different ways. There's just too many moving parts to know with any certainty how this thing is ultimately going to play out.
Yeah, so if we have this communal money, I want to know who's giving who what and who decides what the value of everybody. It's crazy to think about. How it's being talked about right now, and we're playing catch up as usual at Penn State.
Well, we're going to get ready for the Pirates World Series season. We will talk to you again on Thursday. We'll preview the Final Four. My bracket, by the way, is still perfect.
I can't believe it.
I'll have to bring it in with me.
It's amazing, Jeff.
Yeah, on Thursday. Now, listen, I could miss one of the semifinal games or the championship game, but so far this tournament has played out exactly the way I figured it would, and I'm just regretting I should have played the bracket that I filled out ahead of time because, man, I'd be in big-time money. But I figured Duke and North Carolina, I just didn't think that ACC matchup was going to be the last time we saw those two. And I think everybody knew Villanova and Kansas would be on the other side.
That Kansas second half, my God.
Yeah.
They were outscored 40-10 in the last 18 minutes of that game. That was just insane to think about.
Yep.
Crazy, man.
So, again, we'll talk to you on Thursday. Until then, be good and be safe. Goon, we need to talk about the Oscars. Boots wanted us to really get into the
Best 2 out of 3?
It's one fantastic ride. The turbocharged, tech-inspired new Kia Forte.
There's always something happening at Quaker Steak Lube. From live music to exciting new flavors. Meet your friends and refuel at your local Quaker Steak Lube today. Can't slow down? Then order online. Pick up and get back on the road. Find us at thelube.com.
Still can't believe we designed and built a boat.
Well, actually, this kayak was designed centuries ago by people who knew a lot about water. Though, the cedar was my idea. But I guess we did it together.
I hope the thing floats.
Those builders didn't talk about floating, Dad. They said the person is the boat, and the boat is the water.
Exactly.
born of a reverence for nature. The first ever Mazda CX-50.